program is brought to you by Newsworks in cooperation with the City of Eau Claire. This program is simulcast on WRFP-LP 101.9.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. Shall we call the meeting to order? 6:59? No, we are called to order. Since we have a very small attendance, if you have a cell phone, put it on silent. And are you the applicant? Okay, sounds good. There's a yellow piece of paper at the back of the room that you would normally fill out and hand, in this case, to Pat. All right, so the first item on our agenda for this evening is for recommendation a rezoning of Grandview Heights, previously Keystone Crossing amendment and site plan changes.
What I'll do, since we can't get our TV screens to work, I'll simply reference the page in your packet. I see you all have packets or iPads and can. The vicinity map's on page 12. It shows the property on the north side of Keystone Crossing, east of Gulf Road, and you'll note that all the surrounding zoning to the site is commercial. There's also an aerial photo on page 11. This is that ridge line or hill above Buffalo Wild Wings on the back side of the Oak Point Plaza property. The main thing to pay attention to is pages 15 and 16. And this is the comparison of the existing approved plan or site plan for the property and then the amendment to the plan that's before you today. Building 1, which is the easterly building, is under construction. Pretty much exterior is all done. They're doing interior work at this time, so that doesn't change. Building 2, the residential building, is actually in a different location on the existing plan. It's the furthest northwest. That was originally approved as a 3-story, 26-unit condominium. It is now being proposed to be a 4-story, 46-unit condominium, and it's located immediately now to the west of Building 1. Building 3, then, which used to be at that location, is moved. It's flip-flopped in terms of where Building 2 was. That was originally approved as a 4-story, 23,094 square foot office building. It now goes down to a 3-story, but increases in size to 38,336 square feet. And then Building 4 is eliminated on the proposed new plan. So overall, we ended up with more dwelling units in a bigger building, more office space in a bigger building, but then one less office building in terms of the revisions that were proposed with this general development plan. We did place in your, and then there's building elevations for the 4-story condominium. That's on page 22. And the 4th floor is a slightly recessed back from the other floors, penthouse looking. Actually, there is a penthouse above that. And then the building elevation for the office building, which is 3-story, is on page 24 in your packet, so you can see what those buildings will look like. Okay? And then going back to your report on page 2, we placed the special standards and requirements that we use to review in MX zoning. In review of those standards, we note the project density is at 6.7 units per acre, which is still within the allowed density for an MX project. The common open space actually has not changed much at all. Building 2, which is the condominium building, is actually appears to be encroaching in the 20% slope area on its back. An applicant has indicated to us via an email they'll actually move that a few feet so that it's not within that area. The setbacks for the projects have been maintained. The existing lot lines are actually shown on the revised site plan, and they'll have to redo that with a new certified survey map, so they only have 3 lots now for the project. And again, we got an email from applicants stating they will do a revised certified survey map for the project. The parking requirement for the project's 287 stalls. The revised site plan has 293 stalls, and that does include 99 parking stalls within the 2 underground parking. That's within the existing Building 1, which is under construction, and then Building 2 immediately next to it will have underground parking. The building elevations, which again are in your packet, appear to show a building that'll have mostly a brick facade. The building height for building number 2 is greater than 40 feet, so the Plan Commission will need to judge the compatibility of that revised building height with the surrounding development. Building 1, which is complete in terms of exterior on site, it's a 3-story building, so this will be slightly taller. Also, the ground floor area of the larger office building now does exceed 10,000 square feet. So again, the Plan Commission will need to find that that larger footprint is compatible with the proposed development and the surrounding area. They have trash enclosures with all their buildings. Mechanical equipment will need to be screened. They have a nice landscape plan. Their street trees need city forester approval. They do need to provide a bus stop location with this project, and we have indicated a condition to address that. Their bike parking is provided both exterior and within the underground parking areas. They will need a master sign plan that'll come back to Plan Commission for your approval. Their exterior lighting needs to be indicated as meeting city standards. And that new building number 2 will be a condominium project, so they'll have to come back to Plan Commission and Council with a condominium plat at some time for that. Site grading, drainage is reviewed. The traffic, we did a comparison of the past approved project and then the new project within your packet. Transit's addressed within your packet. The Plan Commission finds compliance then with those provisions in City Code which we attached. We would recommend you approve this project. And then we provided a letter for the site plan. It states they will need to provide a revised certified survey map. They will need to provide a condominium plat for building number 2. We need 6 copies of a revised site plan showing that they moved the building out of the 20% slope areas, indicating they'll screen their mechanical equipment, indicating that the bike parking will meet city standards. They'll have to come back to Plan Commission for that master sign plan approval, indicating their lighting will meet city standards, getting city forester approval of street trees, getting fire department approval of their yard hydrant location, getting engineer approval of site grading, and then constructing that transit stop pad out on the boulevard area. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for Daryl? Commissioner Klinkhammer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What is the amendment to the rezoning?
Under city code, if they make substantive changes to the general development plan, which was the old site plan, it has to go back through public hearing. In this case, they changed the layout of the buildings, went from 4 down to 3, and they increased the number of dwelling units from 26 up to 46. And that by code means we go back to public hearing.
But we're not changing the zoning.
No, the zoning change is the same. They're here to request an amendment to the general development plan.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you. The 2 concerns that for building 2 being greater than 40 feet and having the office space exceed 10,000 square feet, is that part of the standards and special requirements for an MX district?
Yes. If
Is it in what you gave us?
Yes. If the building is in proximity to R1, R2, or RM zoning, then the Plan Commission has to make that determination. This building is not, but we do point out the building height is the one thing you need to determine is compatible. And then if the building footprint includes commercial space in excess of 10,000 square feet, the Plan Commission needs to make a finding that that's okay. So those are your 2 findings by code that you need to.
I see it now, thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Remember, I can't always see your little blue lights. Daryl, I have one. You said the building exceeds 40 feet in height. How high, how much beyond that are we?
I don't see an actual
Oh,
elevation. I assume that's applicant there,
okay,
and maybe he can give you an answer. It's a 4-story structure. It's on page 22, but that 4th floor is recessed slightly back. And then there's a penthouse above that, so it looks a lot like that education building the university built in terms of scale, when I sit and think about it. With the recessed 4th floor and then a penthouse above is what that building is, so. But maybe he can give you an exact height.
okay, thank you. Any other questions for Daryl? I don't see any at this time. Would the applicant like to come forward? Please introduce yourself with your name and your address.
Hello, my name is Patrick Hull. I'm at 3320 Davis Drive, and I'm with Greenpoint Construction, Greenpoint Properties.
Can you tell us how high is the building? What is the actual height?
I don't have the actual height
Okay.
of the building. In looking at, our architects have been working on that building. Overall, it'll be about 2 feet shorter than the 4-story office building was planned.
Okay,
The way that the rules are put in place for determining that height, it's all the space that you have up on that top floor and the parapet walls, that's sort of all figured into that.
Okay.
But it will be about 2 feet lower than the previously approved office building.
okay. Commissioner Mitchell?
Thank you. Have you had a chance to look at the conditions in the letter?
I have.
Do you have any concerns or questions about those?
Oh, no concerns. Those are things that we would expect or have already discussed with city staff.
Are there any other questions for the applicant? I don't see any.
Thank you very much, then.
You bet. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Just in terms of the overall plan, we're coming forth with this revision because the original plan was done back in 2013. We've had a couple of changes go on now that we have the first building put up. We're actually getting a ton of calls and people stopping by looking for condos, which is one of the reasons that we wanted to increase that part of the project. I think it's going to work very well. I think overall from the site plan, dropping from 4 buildings down to 3, I think it's going to provide a much cleaner look up there. It doesn't put what would have been our 4th, that second office building, which would have been right against the road. I think now we have a little bit further setback. I think that'll just make a cleaner look up there. It does have all of the buildings that will now face the street, because we would have had that one office building that the backside would have been facing the street. So I think this makes it just a little bit cleaner look and will fit the needs of what our community is clamoring for, at least to us.
Very good. I have one last question. The first building that you've put up, that's a mix of retail space and apartments?
Yes, there are
Okay.
3 retail spaces in there and 54 apartments.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions before we let him go? I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'd be looking for a motion.
I'll move for approval with staff recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Klinkhammer.
I drive by this at least twice a day. And I don't think that height will be an issue. I think it'll fit in really well. So, it's interesting watching this thing develop. It's also interesting you can't look at it when you're driving by it because you're dodging all those trucks that are sitting in the street.
Very good. If there's no further discussion, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so the next item on our agenda is for recommendation, a rezoning from TR 1A to R1 at 3004 Dryer Road.
For this map, I see our engineer couldn't get the system working either. On page 28 in your packet is the vicinity map, and it shows this property at the southwest corner of Dryer Road and Clay Street. And the surrounding zoning is all R1. And then there's an aerial photo on page 27 that shows the home that used to be on the property, and it burned down. And again, the surrounding property is all developed with single-family homes. The home that was destroyed by fire, they'd like to put a new home on the property. Our comprehensive plan identifies this area as being appropriate for low-density residential development, and we've recommended approval.
Are there any questions for Daryl? Commissioner Seymour?
Thank you. Daryl, I should know this, but what is TR-1A? Why was it that before?
That's temporary zoning, meaning this property is annexed from the town a number of years ago and has never been zoned. And by city code, we cannot issue building permits until it is zoned, so they came in and said, we'd like to build a new house. We said, well, you gotta get your zoning first.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions for Daryl? I don't see any. And it does not appear that the applicant is here. So I'd be looking for a motion.
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is landmark designation at 221 Washington Street. Pat, I hope you have a picture of this house.
Yeah, Daryl had asked that I bring some pretty pictures, so a lot of good that does tonight.
Can-
Yeah, maybe I will pass this around. The address is 221 Washington Street. Most of you would be very familiar with it when you see the picture. If you drive south on Barstow Street, you'll basically see it as you come right up to Washington,
Okay.
where Barstow and Washington dead end. The house was built in 1871. It's called a Carpenter Gothic home, and it's distinctive because of a couple architectural things. It's steeply pitched roof, and it's a number of gables.
Is this on the National Register?
Yes, this is
Okay.
on the
It's
National
on the
Register.
National, but not local.
And actually, this is one that was locally designated back in 1980. The property owner at that time opted out back in 1991, and now the property just
Sold.
changed hands within the last couple of weeks, and the new property owner wants to designate it.
Yes.
So this is kind of one of the premier landmark properties within the city because of its architecture. It has its original siding. The decorative barge boards kind of make it real distinctive. The home is called the Martin Van Buren House. Who was the first owner? He was owned a flour and feed company back in 1865, so back before the city was incorporated. When the city was incorporated in 1872, he was on the first city council, so it's kind of important historically, for that matter too. So this will be going before the Landmarks Commission at their January meeting. By code, we're required to let the Plan Commission know of this, and basically what the commission would be looking for is if it's consistent with the comprehensive plan, which in this case we feel it is.
Do you need a motion from us?
If you would like, it's not necessary.
Would anyone like to make a motion? Commissioner Mitchell?
I was going to ask a question, but
Okay.
I'll move that we agree that it be landmarked.
I'll second that.
Well, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Is it a rental, or is a new owner going to live in it?
Well, the house is a threeplex, and it's my understanding that the previous owner was not living in it, so it had been rental. Although, if you look at the property assessment records, the owner's mailing address went to this address, but in talking with the new purchaser, it sounds like it was a rental, and it will continue to be a rental.
Any other questions for Pat We have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item, meeting dates. Daryl?
This time, we can tell you, you will be having a December 4th meeting. We have items for that agenda.
Okay.
The council did cancel its December 25th meeting.
Oh, good idea.
So we are trying to cancel the Plan Commission's meeting for December 18th because rezonings would have normally gone on to council. And this time, we don't have any hearing items, but site plans or plats, preliminary plats in particular, may still come in up through December 4th. So we'll let you know December 4th or shortly thereafter if the December 18th meeting is canceled. It's the meeting after that that I wanted to ask. That is on a Tuesday, January 2nd.
Okay.
City Hall will be closed January 1st, so on January 2nd, you do have a scheduled meeting. I need to know if I'll have a quorum at that meeting. I think the ice storm was in December last year.
No, it was late January.
Was it?
Yeah.
All right. It was one of your January meetings, yeah. So I have, how many of you will be here if we have a January 2nd meeting? Okay, because we have at least 2 items that we have to schedule in January, so we will schedule those then for January 2nd is what we'll do.
Very good. Last year, when we didn't have a second December meeting, if you recall, we all went down to the Lakely and had a cup of good cheer and dinner together. Anyone interested in doing that again this year, picking a location and checking it? Yeah. You'll work on it. All right, so if we don't have a meeting, why don't we plan a social? Okay. I think.
Again, we'll let you know by the 4th if
Okay.
that means canceled.
Okay, sounds good. Code compliance items. Anyone have anything? I do, since no one else does. That house, Daryl, that I emailed you on the other day with the car parking in the yard. Yeah, it's still there.
Okay.
It comes and goes. We're now down to dirt.
Okay, I'll tell John.
So I know the police were going to keep watch on it, but I think it's about time that we ask him to politely move it.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything on code compliance? Any future agenda items? Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, I call us adjourned.
This program was brought to you by a cooperation between Newsworks and the City of Eau Claire. A transcript of this meeting is available for the hearing impaired. It will be available within 7 days of this telecast. Call 715-839-4912 or TDD 715-839-1689 or write Eau Claire City Clerk, P.O. Box 5148, Eau Claire, Wisconsin 54702-5148. Newsworks is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, please contact us via phone at 715-839-5067 or online at valleymediaworks.org.